Hi there, good morning. You've tuned into ET now, and this is Cheryl D'Souza. Along with me, I have Soumit Sarkar, and you are watching Buy Now, Sell Now, a show where we get you answers for all of the stock-related queries. But before we get started to that, let's take a look at what the markets are doing at this point in time. Because if we look at the markets, yes, we actually opened up a pretty weak in trade today. This in result of the cues that we got from the US markets as well as the Asian markets. Pretty weak cues coming in from those markets. So on back of that, we saw a weak opening. From there on, we tried to recover in trade today. Right now, we are trading actually flat with a negative bias when you talk about the Sensex or the Nifty. But remember, both of these indices did hit briefly their fresh record high levels as well on an intraday basis. Let's take a look at what the broader markets are doing, what the picture is there for the mid cap as well as the small cap index. Are they trying to hold on to some gains? No, there you go. You have mid cap index down about 1.5% at the day's lowest point. The two coming in for the small cap index. Nifty Bank as well is moving in tandem with the benchmark indices, trading flat with a negative bias. The advanced decline ratio as of now is very much skewed in the favors of the declines. But talking about the declines then, you have Bajaj Auto, Hero MotoCorp among the top losers on the Nifty, followed by Coal India, Adani Ports as well as Ultratech among the some set of losers. While on the flip side, on the gaining end of the market, you have LTI Mindtree reacting to its numbers. You have TCS, HUL, ONGC as well as Bajaj Finserv among the list of gainers. Talking about the sectoral indices in the picture there then, you only have IT index that's holding on to good gains of about 1%. No, you also have FMCG index that's holding on to strong gains as well. But it is the PSU counter, the realty index, the power index, all of them declining in trade today. So that's the way how the markets are looking like at this point in time. Pretty weak bias coming in for the benchmarks. But remember viewers, like I mentioned, this is the show where we get you answers for all of your stock-related queries. You can write to us on the number that will be flashing on your screen. And do remember, each time you write to us, mention your name, the stock that you're looking to invest in, mention that name as well. And if you've already invested in the stock, mention the buy price, the quantity, and the time horizon. In that way, our experts will be able to help you better. And talking about experts today on the technical front, we have Kunal Bothra, while on the fundamental side, we have Sonam Srivastava joining us on the show. Very good morning to you, Kunal, as well as Sonam. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And let me kickstart with the queries that are already pouring in. This one is coming from Satya Veni, who's a senior citizen and a long-term investor from Visakhapatnam. He has HCC 4,000 shares at a price of 50.8 rupees. Wants to know whether he should hold it, average or book loss, as well as wants to know about an entry price coming in for Laurus Labs. What's your take, Kunal? HCC, stay put with this one or look to exit? And Laurus, what would be the right entry price?
See, I think for Laurus Labs, I'll start off with that. Your sort of a better entry price could be, I think, closer to the 50-day moving average, which is at 442, 443 mark for the stock on the spot level. So maybe adjusted with, a few odd days. I think this price could be closer to 445 levels for Laurus Labs. That I think would be a good bet over the short term if you're looking at a good entry point. HCC on the other hand, I would suggest to hold on to the stock now. Keep a trailing stop loss, which could be, I think, close to 45, 46 levels, because that's the major swing support for HCC on the short-term charts. And if the stock holds on to this 45, 46 mark, there could be a high probability that the stock may continue to move up higher further.
And the next query is from B. Sai Babu, and he's a senior citizen and a long-term investor from Chennai. And the query is for you, Sonam. Actually, he wants to know some good stocks to invest from data center point of view for the next 2 to 3 years. Any recommendations that you would have, Sonam?
I think this is a sector which has been in a lot of demand, right? I think much like your defense and railways, there's a lot of buying that's happening in this segment. I think, see, there are a lot of number of interesting stocks from, KEC, NetWeb, a bunch of different stocks that can be bought, but we have to be a little bit careful because there's a little bit of overvaluation in this segment as well. So if you're looking for, a recommendation, I think KEC, Hitachi Energy, ABB would be good stocks to invest into, but you have to be a little bit aware about the valuations here as well, right?
This next one is coming from Rajesh Maheshwari, who's writing to us from Singapore, and he has a query on GIC RE, Kunal. He has 576 shares of GIC RE with an average price of 433.5 rupees per share. He's been holding on to this counter since the IPO time. Now he wants to know what's the most prudent course for the stock. He's saying the stock has now recovered from a long low value level and now is hovering around the issue price. So does it make sense for him now to actually remain invested in this one or look to exit? What's your view coming in on GICRE? The fact that he's been patient enough to hold on to this counter after actually getting this one since the IPO time. What's your take now?
See, there are 2 points. One is that the PSU theme, of course, is doing fabulously well over the last 1 to 2 years, and that's why you've seen stocks like GICRE, I think, moving up from 100 rupees or I think 150 mark 3-4 years back to now almost 400 plus levels. So it's been a fabulous run for the last 2.5 odd years for many of the PSU names. But then I think what matters is that whether over the next 2 to 3 years, whether these stocks can see a further leg of up move for themselves. I strongly believe so, and I believe that in that aspect, you should continue to hold on to the stock. There may be some bit of correction which may come by because GICRE and such kind of names, they are also more of event-driven stocks. So I think with the budget around, it's bound to be that the stock may be a bit more volatile. So if you are okay with that, then I think continue to hold on for another couple of years at least.
The next query is from Rahul Gupta, and he's holding few shares of Hindustan Aeronautics bought at a price of 1800 rupees. Sonam, he wants to know what should he do with this stock? Should he continue to hold or book profit and completely exit out of this?
The stock has been seeing a little bit of weakness in the last few sessions, and today as well we're seeing some correction, but it's been the investor favorite, right? Hindustan Aeronautics. People have been buying this very heavily because of the expanding order book and a lot of focus from the government on the defense segment. So I think it's a good long-term stock. The company is set with very strong financials for the next few years, but obviously there's a little bit of overvaluation and a little bit of heavy speculation in this stock. So you can be a little bit careful, but it's a good long-term buy, right? But you definitely have to be careful about valuations.
All right. This one is coming from Bisaka, who's a senior citizen, is a housewife as well, and has started being actually investing in market in small quantities for the last 2 years or so, but has a long-term vision is what she's saying. She wants to know whether it would be appropriate to buy any of the 3 shares that she's mentioned below. One is Himadri Speciality, Titagarh Rail as well as Star Health for the long term for a period of about 2 to 3 years actually, Sonam, at the current levels, and if not, then when do you think it would be advisable to buy any of these counters? There's Himadri Speciality, Titagarh Wagon as well as Star Health. Are they good fundamentally to be in one's portfolio and now is the right time?
Good stock that she has picked in. I think, we're seeing some pickup happening in the chemical segment. So Himadri Specialty Chemical looks very interesting. So you could have a look out for that one. We're seeing a recovery in Star Health Insurance as well. I think this sector will get some focus in the budget as well. And, seems to be strong. Even today it's positive. Titagarh, again, it's a little bit overvalued right now. But, again, we expect the government to focus on the railway segment and might get more orders in. So a lot of interesting stocks. I think she could focus on Himadri and Star for now.
From Veni, he's a senior citizen from Hyderabad, and it's for you, Kunal. He wants to invest in few shipbuilding stocks. Can you suggest him 2 stocks which have a right entry price at this moment for medium term?
Well, nothing is cheap in this kind of a market, especially for this sector. But I think if you're looking out for these kind of names, Garden Reach is something which starts to look attractive. But as I said, that the stocks have run up exceedingly high. Even the last 3-4 months, I think if I am not wrong, Garden Reach has moved from 1,200 rupees towards 2,500 or 2,700 mark, which is the recent high for the stock. So it's a run up of more than 1.5 odd X for these stocks in a very short kind of a time span. You'll have to wait out for a scenario where these stocks, they ebb off, they come back to their key moving averages. 50-day moving average could be a good point where you may look to buy. That may come by if in case the correction or the consolidation extends for another few weeks for the stock, and that could be maybe closer to 2,000 to 2,200 levels for Garden Reach.
All right, Kunal, let me come back to you then. This one is coming from Venkati, who's writing to us from Visakhapatnam, who's a 62-year-old gentleman, long-term investor and a huge fan of ET now is what he's mentioning. He's holding Lakshmi Organics 300 shares at an average price of 398 rupees per share. He's holding it for the last 4 years, but he's in a huge loss at this point in time. So he wants to know what should he do, average, exit or hold on to this counter? And if you advise an average on the stock, what sort of a price should he average it at?
I think I would suggest to hold on to the stock as of now, not to look to average at current levels, because the stock is just about trading closer to its 200-day moving average. So it's gone through a recovery. The patterns which I'm looking at the charts over the last 2.5 odd years, when the stock corrected from 600 rupees to 200, 220 odd mark. One of the major indicators on the downside that has been broken, so which means that the stock would slowly and steadily get into a recovery phase. But because of the way the markets are positioned and the stock is just about hanging around the 200-day moving average, I don't believe that maybe this time could be a better time where you can look to average further. So just hold on to existing stock. Once the trends develop, once the momentum kicks back again into the stock price, even if that happens at say 250 to 60 mark for the stock, that could be a better point where you look to average.
Well, the next query is from Manoj Chavre from Pune, and he's holding around 500 shares of Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, bought at an average price of 60 rupees. Sonam, he wants to know whether should he continue to hold this counter, buy more or sell?
So this counter seems to be consolidating for a while. If you have a look at it, it has been, big momentum stock for a while last year, but right now we see some consolidation. I think, see, as a banking stock, the fundamentals definitely remain strong for this particular counter. Private banks, we expect them to sort of pick up. So, and this stock is a little bit undervalued compared to its peers as well, right? So might be a very interesting pick, but you do have to wait for the long term for this stock to pick up, right? So I would say that you could hold on to this counter.
This one is coming from Raja. Kunal, this one is for you. He wants to know about Time Techno Plus, if it's a good buy at current price. Also, Coromandel, he has about 500 shares at a price of 42 rupees per share. He's saying Coromandel Engineering. I'm not sure. I have not tracked this one, but what's your take if you have seen the charts of this one by any chance? But Time Techno, right time to buy?
Coromandel, the second one which you've mentioned, that's the stock which I don't track. So I'll skip that. But Time Techno is something which looks attractive on the charts. Currently at 339 on the spot levels. The recent high for the stock was about 350 mark. I think a better price if you're looking to enter should be closer to the gap the stock has created, and the gap support is around the 310, 312 mark for Time Techno. So I would suggest that wait out for maybe mild retracements towards this level, but 310 approximately could be a good zone where you may look to enter.
Well, with that, let's slip into a short break and we'll start addressing more of your queries post that.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. Let's continue taking your queries to our experts. Kunal Bothra on the technicals, Sonam Srivastava on the fundamentals. And the next query is coming from Abhijit. And he wants to know about two counters. Kunal, they are fairly recently listed. I'm not sure if you track, but in case you do, it will be great. 100 shares of IKO Lighting. He's purchased at a price of 285 rupees per share. And the other counter is Uniparts India. 100 shares at a price of 515 rupees per share. He wants to know what to do with the stocks he can hold for the next 6 months.
I don't track both of these names, so I'll probably skip this one.
All right. So now, any views on IKO as well as Uniparts by any chance?
See, I think IQ Lighting is a very interesting stock which sort of manufactures these LED components for Philips. So a very strong company with huge market share in the LED segment. So I think a great fundamental buy, and they can hold on to it for the long term, right? A good stock in the EMS segment. I think we're really excited about the IPO. Uniparts, I think again it's in the energy manufacturing segment. I mean engineering manufacturing segment. Seems to have had a bad quarter last quarter. Profits have sort of slowed down. So I would say let's be a little bit cautious about this one.
The next query is from Kiran, and she's from Pune, and she's a big fan of you, Kunal, and she wants to know what would be a reasonable entry price for JSW Energy for medium term, say?
So I think it's a fabulous chart, first of all, for JSW Energy, and I've tracked the stock when it was almost at 70, 75 rupees. A few years back, towards a point where the stock is almost 10x from those levels. Now, I think at current levels, if you're looking to buy, I would wait out for the stock to come back into a retracement slightly below its 50-day moving average. So over the last 7, 8 months, 9 months, the stock had shown 3 or 4 times a point where it came back towards a retracement below its 50-day moving average, fell by a margin of another 4-5% from those levels, and that actually came out to be a good averaging point or an accumulating point or a buying point for someone who's missed out. So I think at current levels, that zone could be closer to 600 to 625 odd mark for JSW Energy. So whenever the stock enters into that kind of a range, that's where I think you should look to buy.
All right. Right, this one is also coming your way, Kunal, because this one is from Nikhil Sharma, who's from Mumbai. He's saying he's an intraday trader. He has 100 shares of National Aluminium, that is NALCO, at a price of around 199.79 rupees per share. He's saying it's finally on its way to the target that he had decided, but he should go ahead and book profits once it goes into those levels or hold for the longer term.
Is he on the short side? I mean,
He's not mentioned either of it. I have, given the fact that this is a repeated query and he had written to us earlier, so I think at that point in time when he wrote to us, the stock had crossed his buy price of 199 is what I believe.
Okay. So I think it's a good stock from a medium-term play, but I'm not sure whether since you're an intraday trader, I would believe that at current terms of 191, what's the stop loss you would have probably kept into. So I think if you are okay with holding on to the stock from a medium-term play, then it makes a lot of sense to hold on to the stock. It's come back towards its 50-day moving average, so which means that the mean reversion, the pace of sell-off, etc., I think that should also now abate for the stock. So I think it's a good level where you can look to hold on to the stock if you're a medium-term trader as well.
Well, the next query is from Ravi and it's on McLeod Russell. Kunal, have you tracked this counter, McLeod Russell?
Not really.
But okay. So he's holding around a few shares at a price of 194. He's asking whether should he average this counter exit. Sonam, have you tracked this counter, McLeod Russell?
No, not really. I think it's a very small stock and seems to be a little bit volatile. So I won't have like a very strong view on it.
All right, this one is coming in from Raghuram, who's writing to us from Trichy, and Jamna Auto is a count of 150 shares at a price of 141 rupees per share. He's suffering a loss in this counter. Kunal, what should he do? Exit or continue to stay put with it, hoping that it will come closer to its buy price?
So I think you should hold on to the stock, and yes, I think the stock has tested a lot of patience, but I think the real trend for the stock is still not started off, because when you look at this in 2022, 23, 24, the stock has been more or less flattish at the 120, 25 pivot, 10, 15% plus minus. That's the range for the stock broadly over the last 2 years. But the volumes over the last 2-3 quarters have started to increase for Jamna Auto. So I think in that aspect, maybe the stock is getting towards or could soon get into a breakout for itself. The breakout point for the stock is 145 mark. And I think the moment the stock breaks past about this 145, maybe 150 as a psychological barrier, I would believe that a major trend could re-begin into the stock price. So I think it's a matter of patience for a long-term investor. Continue to hold on.
Well, the next query is from Vignesh from Vellore, and he has few shares of IEX bought at a price of 133, few shares of Angel One Broking bought at a price of 2,260. He wants to know whether should he continue to hold both the counters or exit. Sonam, what would be your view on IEX and Angel One?
See, I think IEX again is a very interesting stock, right? And I think has been an investor favorite, but yeah, it has reached a top and is seeing some consolidation. So I would say that let's be a little bit cautious. If you are looking to add, then let's wait for certain critical resistant levels to be crossed. So I would say maybe buy above 180 in this counter. Angel One again has been seeing a little bit of a struggle in terms of the stock price, especially after that regulation change came out from SEBI, right, where brokers cannot take benefits from the regulatory arbitrage. So I think let's be cautious with this stock as well, right?
Right, this next query that I have is coming from Amit. He's writing to us from Dubai. Kunal, he has 3,000 shares of SpiceJet. He purchased it at the price of 55 rupees per share. He wants to know what's the selling price in the medium term for SpiceJet that he should have. And KEC International, 300 shares at a price of 700 rupees per share. What's the medium term target? So for SpiceJet, I think he's clear that he wants to know that he wants to exit this counter. So he's asking a selling price for this one. But KEC, what could be the medium term target for this one? He's sitting on good profits.
So I think KEC International is something which I would believe could retest the levels of 950 to 980, which it tested some time back. 968, if I'm not wrong, was the high for the stock or thereabouts. So I think it should probably try and come back to that level. The charts are quite attractive. The long-term trend has been fantastic for KEC. So I think since you're a medium-term investor, you can continue to stay put into the stock, or if you're looking to book 950, 970 could be a good band where you will look to book profits. For SpiceJet, I would believe that just wait out for maybe another couple of months. Yes, the trend of the stock is weak over the last 5-6 months. But then what has happened is that the stock has come back towards a retracement or completed a retracement of its 200-day moving average. In case of this level of 45, 46, that support is not broken, then I would believe that the stock may make a comeback towards 66 mark or even 70 plus levels. over the very short to medium term. So maybe give it another couple of months, keep 45 as a trailing stop loss if you can, and then hold out for a point where the stock comes closer to the 65 to 70 range. That could be a point where you may look to book out profits.
The next query is from Snigdha from Delhi, and she wants to know whether is it a right time to buy Texmaco Rail and BHEL at current prices for the next 1 year. Sonam, how do you see at Texmaco Rail and BHEL at current levels?
See, I would say Texmaco Rail, if it gets attention in the budget, good stock to buy. Otherwise, like other railway stocks, it is sitting in the overvalued zone, right? So I think that would be my stand there. Second one that you asked was BHEL, right? So BHEL is a stock that we hold and we think, has a good potential in the longer term. Seems to be having a very strong momentum as well as getting a lot of good ratings from analysts. Uh, it's a massive stock with good quality and good growth numbers. I would say, you could look at adding this one.
Right, this next one is coming in from Chaitanya from Hyderabad. Kunal, for you, he wants to know what's the best strategy for Nifty Bank on the budget day. Long straddle with proper stop loss works is what he's asking.
Yeah, it may work for budget, but my only catch is that the only catch over here is that the VIX is at 14.5. So maybe give it another couple of days, tomorrow or at max day after, that's on Monday. You could probably expect the VIX to come back towards 15.5 odd point. And I think at that kind of a zone, what we are also expecting is that the markets are factoring in that it will not be too much of volatile just on that budget day or maybe one day post the budget. So I think the risk reward is not very attractive for you to size your positions on the much higher side. But yeah, generally budgets and events like these, they are generally high swing days for the index, even if it's like a 1%, 2% swing. So it depends on the premium for the strategy which you're looking to create. If that's the case, go for it. But then, as I said, keep your position size a bit more lower.
Well, that was the strategy that one can take on the budget day. With that, let's slip into a short break and we'll start address more of your queries post that.
You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. Let's continue taking all of your stock related queries. This next one is coming in from a viewer that is Imtiaz, who's writing to us from Kolkata, and he has 36 shares of HUL that he's bought at 2,700 rupees per share. Kunal, he wants to know what to do with HUL as well as Global Health. He wants to know whether it's a good stock to go ahead and buy.
So HUL specifically, I'll stick to that. I think that's a chart which is looking very attractive. Now the stock is confirming a very strong round of momentum. So something which started off from the month of June, if I'm not wrong, when the stock was at 2,300 levels towards a point at 2,700 plus mark where the stock is trading right now. I think the momentum seems to be quite strong. I would believe that if this breakout sustains for HUL, you may actually expect the stock to hit back a new high for itself. That should be about 2850, 2,900 mark also. So I would suggest a hold.
The next query is from Shyam from Bangalore and it's on Tata Steel. He has around 1900 shares bought at a price of 144. Sonam, he wants to know whether should he continue to hold or exit this counter.
So what you're seeing is that after the recent high, there seems to be a little bit of a slowdown on the metal stocks, and also with the rate cut expectation coming in, we don't see this sort of counters sort of growing very fast from here. So he could look at cutting some of the positions in this stock.
All right, coming back to you actually, Sonam, this was from Mahalakshmi, who's writing to us from Hyderabad, and she's holding about 900 shares of Geo Financial. The price is 367 rupees per share. The next one is 1000 shares of Poonawalla FinCorp at a price of 440 rupees per share. Now she wants to know whether she should exit both of these counters and look to instead invest the amount that is there from these stocks in PFC, RAC, or for the matter of fact, IRFC. Do you think it makes sense for the long term, that sort of a strategy?
See, I think, we expect some movement from Geofinance around the results when they come in. But yeah, the stock after the recent sort of surge has been consolidating for a while. Doesn't seem to be a lot of volume. So you could look at cutting positions in this one. Poonawalla FinCorp as well has sort of corrected and seems to be consolidating. There seems to be very high volume correction in that stock. So she can look at sort of cutting those positions. REC, PFC, again, it's the same old story that, while the stocks look attractive, the fundamentals look strong, they're going to get focus in the budget probably, but valuations are a little bit tricky, right? So we are being cautious in buying at these levels and sort of being data driven. I think budget will be a key thing to watch out to see where the focus goes.
Well, the next query is from Prem Kumar from Jaipur, and he's holding around 400 shares of India Cement bought at a price of 300, 100 shares of ACC bought at a price of 2,500. He wants to know whether should he hold both these counters for the next 1 year or exit. Sonam, what would be your view on India Cement and ACC?
I think India Cement definitely has been having a great time, and I think Kunal would agree that it has a very strong momentum, right? A lot of buying at very good levels have been there in this counter due to the recent, corporate action that happened. So I think it looks exciting, and with the growth of the real estate segment and the infrastructure segment in India, I think cement is an attractive place to be. So India Cement looks attractive, and ACC also, would gain when there is growth in the cement segment. It seems to have been consolidating for a while, but seems to be having a good recovery as well. So you could have a look out on ACC as well.
All right, this next one is coming to you, Kunal, from Murari Prasad, who's writing to us from Greater Noida, West is what he's mentioned. He wants to know about Anantraj and Patel Engineering. He's purchased both of these counters. He wants to know what's the current prospect and can he add some more at current price. And he's also noted that the current price of the stock price, his buy price is much higher than that.
Okay, so I think so that means you've entered late into the stock price trends for both of these names. Now, very difficult catch to try and go for an average at current levels, because it doesn't look like that the stocks have come back towards the near-term bottom. The volume patterns, the way the stock is going through a drag, especially like Anantraj, which I think has gone from 520 plus levels to now 475 approximately. I think I would probably expect this correction to extend to at least 450 levels for the stock before there is any kind of a stability and demand which comes back again. So if you're looking to buy or average further, I think 450 is something which you can keep in mind in terms of a level for Anantraj. For Patel Engineering, on the other hand, the charts are a bit more weaker because the stock has been going into a drag for the last 4-5 months. If this time around the stock breaks the level of 54-55, which would become a major support, I would believe that the correction could accelerate much more higher for Patel Engineering. So be a bit cautious over here, but 54-55 could be a closing stop loss for the stock.
Well, the next query is from Namita, and she wants to know the technical view on Aditya Birla Money. She has bought few shares at a price of 166. Should she continue to hold or sell? Kunal, she can hold the counter for the next 1 or 2 months.
Aditya Birla Money?
Yeah.
Okay.
AB Money.
AB.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's a stock which you should hold on. I think if I'm not wrong, Birla Money is the code for the stock, and it's trading at 178, but looks very attractive on the charts. It's confirming a price volume breakout even today as well. And compared to the last 2-3 months of price pattern, it's looked quite attractive. So I would suggest a hold. You can look to add in case if it comes back to that 160, 165 kind of a breakout zone.
And Sonam, what would be your fundamental view when it comes to AB Money?
See again, I think they definitely look strong. It's a smaller stock, right? And in a sort of noisy and a wide sector. But yeah, I think it seems to be a hot pick in this segment. So I would say that they can hold on to it, or they can look to add as well.
Next one is coming from Rohan, who's writing to us from Mumbai. This one is also for you, Sonam. He wants to know about Hindustan Copper, 1,000 shares at a price of 330 rupees per share. He wants to know whether it's a hold or an exit. What's your take coming in on Hindustan Copper, one of the counters that is very primarily dependent on what happens globally as well in the commodity price cycle, isn't it? What's your take? Prudent enough to stay put with this one now?
See, definitely, I think copper seems to be in very strong demand, given that everybody's looking at these GPUs and AI, where copper is a big component, even in the EV cycle. So it's a great long-term buy for sure, but I think in the short term, it's going to see some consolidation. China has stopped the sort of buying these metals, and the demand for global metals seems to have cooled off for a little bit. So I would say short term, you have to be cautious, but long term, definitely it's a great buy.
Well, the next query is from Neeta Gupta from Delhi, and she has around 20 shares of BML bought at a price of 5,285. She's currently sitting on a loss of 10%. Kunal, should she continue to hold this counter or book losses?
So this is exactly what we discussed, I think, a couple of weeks back in the previous shows for BNSN, that the point at which you buy, the momentum may look strong, but the risk reward may not be in favor. And I think that's the case for many of the defense stocks, BML, HAL, BEL, etc. They may look very attractive. The history for these stocks over the last many months and many years have been quite strong. But then you have to judge a point where you buy the stock, especially on the dips as well as corrections, and rather than buying them stocks at an extremely overbought levels. Now I think in this case for BEML, I would suggest that you either have a trailing stop loss over here in this case, say closer to 47.50 could be a trailing stop loss for the stock on closing basis. If you're looking to average further in case, then I would suggest that if it retraces back towards the 50 DMA, which is at 4,350 levels, that could be a point where you will look to average.
All right, coming back to you, Kunal, this one's coming from Saju Isaac. He's writing to us from Kochi. He wants to know whether buying TCS is a good decision right now.
So Cheryl, if you remember, I think we flagged off IT stocks, a few weeks back, just prior to the point where these IT stocks were getting into the thick of momentum, and from there these stocks have rallied up pretty well. I would still believe that this could be a start of a major, mean reversion, sectoral mean reversion. So these are trends which play out for years. What we saw in 2022 start, where the IT sector underperformed with respect to the banking names. I would believe that we could probably be at a cusp of reversing the entire phenomena for the next 1 to 2 years. So now what matters is your time frame, your risk appetite, as well as the point where these stocks, even if they go into a corrective phase, you should look to have some powder dry so that you can keep to average. So I would believe TCS, Infosys also, I think that aspect, assuming results don't disappoint and the stock doesn't correct much, I think these could be good candidates for you to build portfolios from long-term play.
Well, the next query is from Shashank from UP. He has around 50 shares of Shriram Finance bought at a price of 2,550. He wants to know, Sonam, whether should he switch from Shriram Finance to Jio Finance for long term. What are the prospects of both these companies?
No, I think it's very interesting. If we are comparing Shriram Finance to Jio Finance, right, I think Jio Finance definitely has had a stronger growth, but Shriram Finance in terms of valuations is much more conservatively valued in comparison to Jio Finance. So I would, and even if you look at the price trend, and Jio Finance seems to be going through a consolidation, whereas Shriram Finance continues to see higher demand. So I would not recommend that they sell Shriram Finance right away and move to Jio. I would say that they can hold on to Shriram Finance at the current levels as well, right?
All right, coming back to you, Sonam, then this one has come from Kathir, who's writing to us from Bangalore, and he wants to know about Yatharth Hospitals. 500 shares of Yatharth Hospital at a price of 430 rupees per share. He's saying the stock has not been moving over the last 6 months or so. If you see on the screen, last 3 months, the stock has been down about 5% or so. So he wants to know what should he do, what sort of a strategy should he adopt for Yatharth Hospitals. Stay put with this one or look to exit. 430 is the buy price. Near that area is where the current market price is.
I think it's a very interesting segment. I think healthcare and hospitals is where, we are going to see a lot of focus coming in from the government because, we want our healthcare system to expand to a much larger size. So, hospital stocks therefore have been in a lot of demand recently. If you look at the growth numbers for this stock, you see it has been quite strong fundamentally as well. It's not overvalued compared to its peers. It's very fairly valued. So it's an interesting stock. But yeah, I think there's been a loss of momentum across hospital stocks, so we might see some consolidation. So I would say he could hold on to it for the long term, but short term, there could be some consolidation.
Well, some consolidation expected in the hospital space and Yatharth Hospitals. With that, let's slip into a short break and we'll address more of your queries post that.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET now, and markets have drifted much lower from the levels that they were at while we opened up for the show. But let's continue taking your queries. This one is coming from Harsha. 500 shares of CG Power, Kunal. 731 is the buy price. What to do? Wait, sell, or average right now? 731 is the buy.
Not too average, definitely, but I think so. The stock has already run up 10x. I think from 70 75 rupees 2020, it's gone up 10x almost in a vertical manner in the last 2 to 3 years or so. 2020 21 was the low the stock had formed, and now we are talking of the stock at 750 levels. So I think for now the stock it could actually get into a major time-wise consolidation. So, and you've bought at the extreme end of the stock in terms of the price rally. So I think that aspect, I would suggest that even if it gets closer to 720, 725 odd mark, that could be a point where you should look to exit.
Next query is from Manish Singhania from West Bengal, and he has two stocks in his portfolio. HBL Power bought at a price of 654, Hudco bought at a price of 331. Kunal, should he continue to hold both these counters or sell?
Well, both these stocks are attractive. Hudco is something which I would believe should probably go into a further multi-year uptrend. Looking at the way the last 1.5 odd year of rally has panned out for the stock, so I think at 300 plus levels where it's trading right now, it could continue to move up higher. What matters now is your time frame. If you are okay with holding on to the stock for another couple of years, then I think both Hudco as well as HBL Power should be held on to.
All right, this one is coming from Dinesh, who's writing to us from Noida. He's a senior citizen, actually, Sonam, and he's been accumulating CIE Automotive. He's saying so far he's accumulated 220 shares at an average price of 605 rupees per share, and he's aiming to actually have at least 1,000 shares of this company. He wants to know if his stock selection is right. Does it make sense to actually go ahead and buy these stocks whenever available? And he wants a fundamental analysis on CIE Automotive. He's a long-term investor.
No, I think definitely see CIE Automotive, attractive stock in the auto ancillary space, and also has provides component, I think, in the EV life cycle, even in the energy transition theme. I think so. So very attractive stock. The trends in the price seem to be strong. There's a lot of buying that has happened on lower levels. So I think the forward-looking path for this one looks quite attractive, even if you're looking at the valuation front. If you compare it to Bharat Forge, or if you compare it to other stocks in the similar segment, you would see that it is not overvalued. It's in fact undervalued compared to its peers. So I think he's chosen a good stock, and he could continue to to sort of accumulate this stock. And yeah, I think it's an interesting stock for sure.
The next query is from Siva and is for you, Kunal. He has few shares of Bank of Maharashtra and Canara Bank. Bank of Maharashtra is purchased at a price of 67, Canara Bank at a price of 114. He wants to know the medium-term view on both these counters.
So I'm bullish on both of these names, and I think from a long-term play, you should continue to stay put on both these stocks. They've gone through a major time-wise consolidation last 6 months, 9 months, 1 year approximately for many of the PSU banking names, which means that sooner or later these stocks would get into a breakout or at least a covering up the underperformance in terms of time as well as price for these stocks relatively. So I would suggest a hold on both of these names.
All right, with that, let's kickstart with the rapid fire then. And the first one is coming your way. Kunal, KB Singh has Suntec Realty, 2,200 shares at a price of 422 rupees per share. Is it the right time to exit or hold for another 3 months is what he's asking?
Look to trail your stop losses to 550 if that could probably suit your time frame.
Next query is from Subramaniam from Chennai. He has 125 shares of L&T Finance. Sonam, should he book profits here?
I would say that he could wait out, given that it's a very interesting stock in the MBF segment, and we might see rate cuts coming. So I would say let's hold on to this one.
Okay, Ayappan from Chennai has a Bank of India, Kunal, 133 is a buy price, 2,000 shares. He's holding since 2014. The stock is still in loss. What should he do?
Continue to hold on as of now.
And the next query is from Sushila from Baleri, and she has few shares of RVNL. Should she continue to hold or exit, Kunal?
I think good time to book profits.
Ajay from Hyderabad wants to know GMR Airport is a good bet to bet on, given the fact that the impetus is on the airport infrastructure. What's your take, Sonam?
Yeah, I think they can hold on to this one.
The next query is...
So he wants to buy or fresh, so makes sense to buy?
He could do that.
The next query is from Ramki from Delhi. She has around 330 shares of Aptus value. Kunal, should she bought at a price of 336? Should she continue to hold or buy more this counter?
I think exit.
All right, Uday Singh, who's a senior citizen, Kunal wants to know, makes sense to buy Suzlon at current price for a period of about 2 years?
I would suggest an avoid.
The next query is from Arvind. He's holding few shares of Bank of India, bought at a price of 124. Should he continue to hold or move to any other bank? Sonam, what would be your view?
He could look at probably private banks in this space.
All right, Kunal, this one's from Korean, who's holding about 500 shares of Federal Bank at 77 rupees per share and IDBI at 55 rupees per share. Good time to book profits in both of these counters?
I would suggest a hold on both of them.
The next query is from Yuvraj and it's for you, Kunal. He's holding few shares of Dixon. He wants to know whether should he continue to hold this counter for short term.
Keep a trailing stop loss of 11,600.
All right, Amit Sood has 2,350 shares of Blue Star since early 90s, Kunal. He's saying that should he now look to book profits and invest somewhere else? He's saying he's technically holding the stocks for free.
Well, I think you should continue to hold on. It's been a fantastic chart over the last so many decades.
The next query is from Lakshmanan from Bangalore and it's on BHL. Should he continue to hold this counter or exit? Kunal?
I would suggest to hold on to the stock for a long-term investor.
All right, with that, we come to the end of the rapid fire. We tried and squeezed in as many queries as we could. In fact, we've actually overshot also on the time. But with that, we are totally out of time. So thank you, Sonam, as well as Kunal for joining us on the show. And viewers, it's a goodbye from myself and the team to put the show together. Stay tuned. Markets at Noon coming up next.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.